Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Art Classes My Way. Today we are going to be working on a chain. It can also be something that can be used for earrings or just a variety of things, but it is a pretty beautiful little chain. And I have here some 16 gauge wire that we're going to start off with. And this is going to be a nice easy chain to do. We also have our hopper, and I'm kind of going to choose a little bit of a middle here. Now I could end up with some excess wire at the end of this project. That's all right. I do have my scrap bin where all the extra can go, so that way hopefully I can use it later. One day I would like to get a forge going, and all that copper eventually adds up and I can use it for casting. So to start off with, I'm going to start with the largest barrel on my hopper and just going around with it, push this guy over, and we'll just call that middle right there. And you're going to want to pull as well as when you go around the hopper. Now I'm going to let go and come back in. And you can see I'm grabbing a hold of the top of this hoop I made with the second largest barrel on here. And now, whoop, pardon me. Now I'm not squeezing this tight, I'm just holding on to it. What is going to shape this is the fact that I am pulling over and making this wire take the shape of that barrel. I am not squeezing, and this is a good project to teach you how to not get or to not have a death grip on your wire. Death grips when you're using your tools, that's going to mark up your wire. Copper is soft. A lot of metals, unless it's steel, tungsten, obviously you need extremely special tools for that. You can't just go to the hobby store and use a pair of hoppers that you find there or whatnot to really be using those, and I don't think they make tungsten wire. So the odds that you're going to run into that are pretty slim. So going around, now I kind of got my shape here. Now because of what I did earlier, we can see I went the wrong direction there. We can fix that. That's not a biggie. Now I can come around. Now I have that kind of more or less shaped. I can come in here and use that flat side that caused me that problem there. Get some of this wire out of my way. I can come in here and kind of flatten and help reshape the piece. Undo it by pulling my wire out and then just resetting it around. Hopefully, I'm trying to use this to try to stay in frame the whole time, so I'm hoping that I don't make a mess of it like I've done in the past. Now I'm going to take, just because it's easier to grab a hold of, take my square nose and pull these guys over. And if at any time you want to kind of take a redo of something, feel free to just put the hopper back into its previous area. You can always try to reshape things as you go. Just, let's see here, pull this a little tighter. Right there. All right. Now we have the top of our piece there. Going to come in. Now I went a little too far with the down the side there. You don't need that same wise. Just going to kind of lift this up so that way it just comes straight off there. There. we go. I'm going to leave myself enough tail on the other side here, so we'll just cut that from and have it. Because now I know roughly how much I need. Come back in, pull tight. You can see from the side here. Take my round nose. Roll that way. Whoop. Rolling. Give this a little squish. Get these guys to lay a little bit better together. And because I did this when I made this piece, this hoop in the back is larger than this hoop. It's more towards the end of the pliers here. So I'm just going to come in a little bit smaller and just kind of shrink that up just a little bit. There we have it. And I don't need those little ends anymore, so making sure we're using the flat end of our nippers. Clip it just a little bit smaller. You can make these like a jump ring, which I think I'll go ahead and do. And a jump ring, basically where this curls round, by the time it touches its own body over here, you pretty much cut it, and then it will lay a little flatter if you like. And you're about there. Boop. Just squish them closed a little bit more. Now don't squish them too hard when you already have the piece built like this. If you squish them too hard, then they'll want to go off in weird directions, and then you're pretty much going to have to start all over again. There we have a piece. Now I'm going to make a second one here, super fast. Yeah, there's one. Leave out here. And I'm pretty much just using my own knowledge of, I know how far wire should be able to go, and again, trying to give myself a little bit extra so that way I have enough, but I don't want to end up too short. And that just comes with experience. Once you make one of these yourself, which you could do, if it's something you really like and you want to make lots and lots and lots of them, once you make one, you can take this piece, unravel it, flatten it down with your square nose and so on, and then go ahead and use that as your measurement stick. And then you can make 100 of them, and they're all the same length, and they all should go, kind of like an assembly line, they should all go together really well. So go ahead and around, nice and tight. Use my square nose to make sure it's nice and tight there. No death grip. Come up and around, up and over. Same thing again, around and around. Give this a little pull over here, make sure there's no slack. Pull over here. And try to clip off the same amount. Boop. And make our top piece. Now if you've forgotten where you've used your, how big you made this, you can always put it back on and kind of get a rough measurement of where it was before. Arrow. When you're using your round nose, keep in mind this end, whatever wire ends up on this end, is smaller than this end. So you will want to really make sure that you get both sides correctly. All right. then cut off the excess. Again, I am going to cut this off basically where the end of that wire where I'm cutting is going to end up meeting up with the body of the rest of the wire. That way it's nice and flush. And then put all my little bits in my scrap bin. Flatten these guys. Now if you end up with a little gap between where you cut it and the body, you just come in and just roll a little bit until they touch. There you have it. Now this is going to make for a very fun little chain. Now I have some pre-made jump rings here. Now the proper way to open and close a jump ring. That is a video that I do have on my channel. You can always go and check it out. And I do believe it's a combination with making your own jump rings as well. But a brief overview of that, you can go and check that out for more in-depth. But you basically grab a hold of the jump ring in 2 different places and rotate. This end went back, this end came towards me. Rotating it as opposed to pulling it apart is much better because then it won't warp the shape of the jump ring itself. And then you just rotate it back into place. Now if there ends up being a gap where there wasn't a gap there before, what you do, still grab hold of it in 2 different places, and then you just wiggle it back and forth until you feel it, the 2 ends touching again. Don't squish it. Don't try to cheat and squish it by coming in and squeezing it back together. That's not going to solve your problem. It's just going to warp your jump ring. And there I have it. Now doesn't that make for, you know, just something subtle, something kind of cool to break up the monotony of a chain. You could also take a whole bunch of jump rings, make a whole big strand, maybe make a chain about yay long, and then hook that chain up to the top, have a nice long chain, and then do this again. This could be a lot. I don't know if I would even, if there would be too much wire weaving or a pendant or... It's a lot. It's a lot of decoration. Now, maybe you 60s children out there, I don't know, there's something very 60s feeling about this kind of setup, but you guys might be able to come up with something. I don't know, just sometimes a lot of round shapes in the 60s is a lot to take in, but you can try to tone it down just a little bit with links of chain in between this kind of a piece. You can also make that the only part. Maybe this is the decoration, and then you could put dangles and such from it. And which, why don't we? So I've got myself some 30 gauge copper wire here. Now this is probably going to be easier if these weren't already linked together like I've done. Hey, Beckett. So I'm going to get myself a good length of wire. Now we don't need a whole lot because this guy can, I mean, it's a pretty small project. We're not going uber overboard here. And I'm going to take him, give yourself a little tail, and we're going to wrap 3 times. You can always do more wraps if you like. Never a problem with that. But if you are using 30 gauge copper wire, be very careful. It is extremely easy to just pull this guy and breaking. It's just a very delicate little thing. And I'm going to go for a little bit more here. Let's go, I'm going to go 5 instead of 3. And make sure these wires lay nicely beside each other. You do not want them to overlap. Now I'm going to look at this real quick. Alright, and I'm going to slide them together, and I'm going to take my tail, since this is a pretty simple little weave, and I'm going to just go ahead and Just start wrapping it around. No reason to cut it off. If I can try to avoid scraps, I will do so. Okay. And we got that. I want to turn it. The water jug just attacked the bag cap. I want to turn that to where it is in the middle on the bottom. And I'm going to slide on this pearl, freshwater pearl here. And yeah. And now that he is on, if I can find my way out of this maze, there we go. I'm going to take it, and we can see it's still kind of separated a little bit. Well, that's where some of this weave will come in. Now, if you're making a chain and you put a jump ring through here, the jump ring's going to close that a little bit, or keep it held closed in a way. But with this wire weave, we can just add a little bit more stability and close the gaps even more. But do keep in mind, don't pull too tight. You will snap your wire. And with a wire this thin and no more wire weaving than we are currently doing at this very moment in time, if I snap this wire and I don't have enough to keep to do the whole thing, then I'm going to start over with a whole new wire. Because there's not enough weave to really have a lot of stability if you're going to end up using multiple wires. Sometimes it's just best to really have one big wire so that way everything stays nice and snug. So I went that around there about 4 to 5 times. I was too busy talking instead of counting. That's all right. And slide on a new, where's your hole? There it is. That sounded dirty. Slide on a new bead or a freshwater pearl, and around we go. All right, now to end this project, instead of just cutting this wire, what I'm going to go and do is go in between these two wires here, pull it tight. Whoop. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. It caught me. So this way it is actually what I'm doing. I'm kind of pulling it up and getting it underneath where this part that I cut, where it's touching the body, it's kind of getting caught up underneath there. So that way it kind of holds it in place and hides its little booty out of sight. I'll just come in here with my nippers. Maybe. Come out this way. And give it a little clip. Pop. And there we have it. Now that end is nice, safe, tucked away, where it won't get snagged on things, clothing, what have you, or even get unraveled. I'll just fix this a little bit. And fix the other side just a little bit. There. And then we have something nice. So that adds a little bit of something there to it. And it also adds a little bit of movement as well. The beads, the pearls sliding back and forth. Now, I personally, I'm not that huge on, because of the pieces and the average work that I do, I'm not that huge on making super fancy chains like this. So I can show you what else you can do with this kind of a line of thought here. I'm going to take this jump ring off. Take it off the same way I put it on. Turn it sideways. Slide off, and he's ready to use next time. Now we got that guy there. Now I'm going to put these pearls into this guy. And there we have it. So like I said, I'm not that big into chains because the pieces that I do, I feel that with the chain plus a lot of the wire woven pendants I do, tends to be a little bit gaudy. This, I feel, is a little bit more subtle, but you can, there's no reason that a chain itself cannot be the focal. We don't always necessarily have to wear pendants. Sometimes a very pretty chain is all we need. But the what I just showed you, it has some dual purposes. You can always use it as earrings. You can even, if you wanted to, add dangles on top of that, maybe 4 or 5 little jump rings here on this side, and maybe 4 or 5 jump rings on the other side of where this weave has gone, to hold that little bead in the center, that freshwater pearl. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, comment. Leave me questions, and if there's something you want to learn about or something that you want to find out how to do, leave it in the comments section. That's I always try to prioritize questions first over me just, you know, fiddle farting around and making weird little projects like this for you guys. And I do hope you enjoyed this video. I'm always up to listening for any suggestions outside of jewelry, as well as painting and painting in watercolors, painting in acrylics, and also Photoshop. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this project. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for coming and hanging out. Bye!